All right, okay, it's 2 minutes past the hour, so I'd suggest let's make a start. Just before we do, just to let you all know, we're recording the session and we'll make sure we make that available to all of you after the session as well. So let me start by saying a warm welcome to everyone joining today. My name is Christian Box. I'm the head of academic and research markets at Karger, and I'm going to host the session today. I'm just checking, have I got control of the slides? Yes. As a very brief introduction to the session, let me say, I think the world of scholarly publishing is going through a period of change. We're seeing big changes, particularly in the funding and the availability of published research. But despite those changes, the ability to be able to communicate and share progress in research with the global community remains as strong as ever. I think we also know that there's continued pressure on researchers and on institutions to maximize the impact of their published research. But who guides researchers through the process, particularly those early career researchers who might just be embarking on their career, perhaps even publishing just for the first time? How can the pitfalls be avoided? How can you make sure that your researchers stay ahead of their peers? So in this session today, we want to introduce to you a new product that we've recently launched called Campus that helps with this. We have two speakers that I'd like to introduce to you. Let me go back. Firstly, Paul Lavender. So Paul is the head of the Strategic Competence Lead for our education unit here at Karger. Paul's had a really interesting career, particularly in relation to this, because he spent a number of years as a medical writer before moving into publishing. So it's fair to say he's seen both sides of the coin. I think you can also say he's the father of Campus, and so he'll give you a really good introduction to all of the different aspects. Secondly, we have Debbie Lautenschlager, who's the product manager for Campus here at Karger, amongst many other products, and really the expert on the features. So I think between them, they'll be able to give you a really informative session, and we hope you find it as useful as we can. In terms of the order of events, we're going to have about 20 minutes to talk through the background to the product and also give you a demonstration of how lots of the different features work. We'd really welcome your questions and feedback throughout the session, so please feel free to post the questions throughout, and we will pick up the questions at the end as part of the Q&A. So, without further ado, let's go.
Thanks so much, Chris. So, as you can see, first we'll talk a little bit about the background of education at Karger Publishers. And we're not a fully educational publisher like a Macmillan or a Pearson. We focus on STM publishing, biomedical in particular, and we focus on peer-reviewed books and journals. So our education was very much driven by our customers. As we had conversations with librarians, with deans at universities, often the request would come in to provide some form of education as well as the published material. So before this webinar, I was thinking, and I think quite a few senior figures at Karger, including Gabriella Karger herself, we're still a family-run company, have presented on this topic of how to get your biomedical paper or how to get your life science paper published. Certainly in most major countries, large countries in the world. And normally in live workshops, because we actually love traveling, we love meeting our customers, and we enjoy engaging with them. And when everybody did those workshops, they would feedback what questions were received, and we have all of these in a big pot. So we had a big pile of data about what were the common questions and also what were the differences between the different geographical regions. So now in 2019, we actually wanted to really expand that and focus more on that face-to-face element that we were enjoying so much. And we made some inroads into providing more in-depth workshops, including local language workshops. However, as we all know, Corona hit and all face-to-face meetings disappeared, at least for a year, but really, realistically, even now, they're only starting again in some countries. So we pivoted very quickly into e-learning. We had to in order to reach our customers and provide the education that they were asking for. So we partnered, we made some partnerships to get some e-learning out very quickly with material that was already in place. And it was received very well. It was received very gratefully. And we also made some of this freely available to some countries that were resource poor or struggling with Corona. And even the founder, so the owner of the company, Gabriella Karger, received personal emails from some of these students expressing gratitude. So it was really well used and well liked. But we also had the feedback that people wanted something that was Karger, that was really us, that related to our experience as a publisher, with our connections with the editorial boards that we had. So that is really what resulted in Campus, this collection of 10 e-learning courses. Now, I'm aware that this call is not really for researchers. We've invited people from several different fields, and I think relatively few people on this call have the experience of publishing their own paper. But I do think everyone on this webinar shares an experience. And this experience can put you in the mindset of a researcher. And that experience is when you lovingly craft a CV for a job that you really do want. You check the job description carefully, you check for typos, you get your friends to read it. You're essentially putting the last few years of your life onto paper and then submitting it for somebody to judge whether you progress onto the next stage or not. And in essence, were the last few years of your life worthy to be considered to go further in that process? You're really putting yourself out there with a CV. You're putting yourself out there to be judged. And with researchers, particularly early career researchers, the feeling is the same. You've taken the last 1 to 2 years of your life, your research, your work, and you're putting it out there to be judged and evaluated by people that you likely don't know, is certain, and maybe are not quite sure what they're looking for. But for researchers, it's 10 times worse, because if those people find a fatal flaw in the work, some kind of flaw with the methodology or the analysis which invalidates it, then the last year, 2 years of your life may be now of no use from a career perspective. They will result in no value. The data's lost. So it would be like us submitting a CV, and if we don't get the position, the last 2 years of our life or our working life suddenly don't count for anything. It can be a terrifying experience. And as Chris said, I was a medical writer, so I was never so emotionally engaged with the papers that I submitted on other people's behalf. I didn't spend my time doing that research. But even then, I was so nervous before I click submit. I'd read the paper. Normally, my finger would hover over the mouse button and take a deep breath. I know I can't do it. I get a colleague to check it. Am I doing everything right? Take a coffee, come back, and finally click submit and close your eyes. Because there's so much hinging on the acceptance or rejection of a paper for those authors. So when I moved into publishing, I realized one of the biggest fears that I had, and I'm kind of embarrassed to admit this, but as a medical writer, I never really understood the publishing process, who those people were that were making this judgment. In the same way, when we submit a CV to a job application, we often don't know quite what goes on with human resources or what criteria they're looking at. So when we started the education team in Campus, one of our main aims was to raise the curtain on this and say, when you submit your paper, this is what is examined at every stage before publication. And if you don't give the publisher or the editor a reason to reject the paper, it will go on to publication, and these are the common reasons for rejection. So we really try to lift any mystery about it. And we presented this as in face-to-face meetings, including congresses, and it was really well received. The feedback was fantastic. Still in touch with some of the people who were in the audience. And so we made a webinar on this. And this webinar, I think, has about 5 likes. I think one is even from my mother. It's really got lost in the internet. And my initial feeling for this was, okay, well, there's too much information. There's no need to add more information. Again, I think we all have this experience now with streaming services. Do you go to HBO, Disney Plus, Amazon Prime? Oh, great, another streaming service. There's too much to consume. And I thought, well, the last thing the world needs is more education on this topic. But the requests kept coming from our customers. And Debbie, who will speak after me, about every 2 weeks would nudge me and say, no, we're getting more requests for this. And I would I don't understand why. There's already so much material. I gave up. I saw YouTube. I went through all the paid, the unpaid, the high level, the low level, ones dedicated to science, ones that were more general. I went through all of it. And I thought at the end of it, I would come back and say, hey, there's no need for anything else. I really thought that. And what happened was I left from that experience completely confused. Even as somebody who knows this topic and has spent years in this topic, I would have no idea where to start. And then I felt very sympathetic to researchers, early career researchers in particular, who were trying to get their bearings in this mass of information. It was really a case of, how do you decide between the 10-hour course for $1 or the 1-hour course for $10? Probably the second's better value, but it's got a spelling mistake in the title. But then there's the really good courses by the well-known publishers, but the pricing isn't clear. They don't sell to individuals. It was a complete minefield. It was like somebody trying to take a drink of water from a fire hose. There was just way too much information coming at you. So I said, okay, I see the need now. I see the need. Let's make something that addresses this. So when we started off with Campus, we had a blank slate, and I said, okay, first I want this to be finite. It has a clear end that students can feel, I've done this. And then we had to think about how to structure it. And we really, really wanted this to be practical. So here you'll see the key questions over here on the left that a researcher goes for, or a researcher has when putting together a paper. Before they start the study, they have to think, okay, what's my study question? What's my hypothesis? What study design would answer this question or prove or disprove this hypothesis? Then you go on to the writing. How do I structure the paper? How do I actually write it? How do I format it? How do I do the graphs, the figures, and so forth? What information is contained in each section? And then after you've done that, you think, well, okay, do I now need to submit this as a preprint before I go to a publisher? And then when I go to a publisher, which journal? There's about 30,000 STM journals at the moment. So there's so much choice. What criteria do students use? And then you have to think, how impactful are my results? What level should I be aiming at here? Do I pay for open access? Do I pay for my work to be freely available, or should I not? Does the journal offer open access? And once it's actually out there, how do I promote this? How do I use this to help my career? And how do I track whether that promotion was successful? And then for later career researchers who are then asked to perform peer review, and they're actually getting asked much earlier because of AI algorithms to perform peer review. So we had this set of questions in our head when we built Campus. And what we wanted to do was answer each of these questions to the level that the student does not feel they need to do another course. They feel that this question has been answered. And if they're missing information, they know where to go for it. They know which guidelines to use, where they can get that information. They know which resources to find. They don't feel that they need to buy a course or go to YouTube or Google it. All the foundation information is here that we've, as I say, you teach a man how to fish, you feed them for life. We wanted to have courses that teach people how to fish, that they become very self-sustainable and they can work their own path, what's best for them. They have the basic knowledge in place. So the other thing we wanted to focus on was that actually a lot of courses on this topic focus on the writing part of the paper. But actually the main reason that papers are rejected is due to the pre-study part, the study question. Is it interesting? Is it clinically relevant? And the methodology used in the study. Is that the correct methodology to answer the question? So we really wanted to put the focus not only on the writing side, but in how important it is to start way before that with the right study question, the right design, and also the right ethics approval. Those are the key things to get right in the beginning. Those are the main reasons for immediate rejection of a paper. So the other thing we wanted to do was really make sure that we were happy with the quality. And I can say that the materials that we're using are also the materials that we use for our editorial boards, for our partner publications, for real peer reviewers. There's not one set of training for them and one set for everybody else. So we're really putting this training in front of the highest level of stakeholders and collaborators and partners that we have, and using their feedback to constantly improve it. But the feedback has been extremely good. So we're very happy with that we've accomplished our aims. And the other thing that was incredibly important to us was, and you see there at the top, real people. That it's not just people who are voice actors or able to present well or have a little bit of experience. We wanted for each course people who were really doing the activity that was described. So for example, for our courses on systematic reviews, we actually have 4 experts contributing to those courses, people who are living and breathing systematic reviews on a daily basis. For our course on how to market your paper, we have contribution from an expert who has 17,000 Twitter followers, 5,000 LinkedIn followers, and uses social media to really disseminate his work in pathology. It's an incredible job. So we really wanted to have real people offering quality advice to students that empowers them to take the next steps and feel that they've really understood the topic. And there's a clear end. They can tick it off and say, okay, I don't need to do another course on this. I know where I can get the information that I need. So these are really our aims when creating this. Now, PowerPoint slides are one thing, but I'm sure that a lot of you would actually like to see Campus itself. So whenever you run anything technically on a live webinar, you're asking for trouble, but I'm going to give it a go anyway. So I'll just stop sharing the slides. You should still be able to see that screen. and I'll pop up my web browser. So the webs, you can feel free. This is the one time in a webinar where the presenter is saying, please open another tab. So please open another tab and type in karger.com or www.karger.com/campus. That's easy to remember URL that will take you to this page. That will change slightly, which is a bit more complex. So type in karger.com/campus. And then you see the collection of 10 courses, plus also some quarterly webinars that we will be running on this for the students. First, you see the language switch. There's English, Spanish, Korean, Chinese, Portuguese, and Japanese. For us, this was really important to cover multiple languages that were requested by our customers. We've used scientific translators for the translation, so we are very sure of the quality, and our regional offices are also checking these themselves. So now you're on the campus homepage. So with the languages as well, you'll see the last few courses are just in translation. So they have about 6 courses ready. Another 2 will be released this week, and the other 2 by the end of this month. So let's pick a course. You can click on a course as well. I've taken number 9, Preprints and Open Access, and you'll see there's a free preview option for the introduction and the first module. So every course follows the same structure, 6 modules, and the first module is always a free preview. Each module consists of a video of about 3 to 5 minutes, exercises and links to further resources, and a quiz to test the knowledge. And we repeat that and repeat that and repeat that. So students don't have to think much about the format. They get into a flow very quickly. If you click on the free preview button, that will then ask you to create a My Karger account. Now, this should take us a few seconds to create a My Karger account, and I'll show you how straightforward it is. Now, the most important thing, which I think you're probably all wondering, is are they going to spam me? And the answer is absolutely not. We will not use this for marketing purposes. So you can feel safe signing up. Sign up for My Karger. You can enter your email address. So pop that in, and your name and last name. Accept the terms and conditions, create the account. And then you get the confirmation, and you just need to check your emails for the verification email. So click done there, nip over to here, and my verification email's just arrived. This is one of the first live demos I've done that's going to plan. It just asks you to set your password and choose a password. So I will choose my password and confirm the password. So that means I'm now into my Karger account. It's got my name there, P Lavender. I can nip into the courses over here. And you'll see all of our courses here. And you'll see that there's also some free courses, for example, on free tests. We also have, just click on the view all courses. Some nice free resources on how to get your biomedical paper published. We have some subject-specific courses like on cytopathology, next generation sequencing, and so forth. And you scroll down a little bit, and then we have the campus collection here. You also have the individual courses that are listed here in the various languages. all of these will have a free preview. So I click onto the first one and click onto the free preview. It takes me into the free preview. So module 1 over here is free to access. So each course, as I said, has a video. This particular course on how to conduct ethically sound research is done by our ethics expert at Karger, Goronia McNamara. She has a lot of experience in this. You'll see that we also have the subtitles in all of the major languages that we're dealing with, and including in this case some additional ones for this first course. After the students completed the video, they can go on to the exercises and resources. The exercises and resources, I'll make that a little bigger for you, include things like matching exercises, where students get to test their knowledge, links to websites, in this case, the Singapore Statement on Research Integrity, which is crucial for ethics, some real scenarios about why journals may retract an article or remove it. Scenarios are where the students have to make choices. It's all to test their knowledge about what was presented in the video. Then it goes on to a quiz where they can test their knowledge again on what they just learned in that module. At the end, there's a final quiz which students need to pass with 80% in order to download a certificate to show that they've completed this course. So that's really it from my side. And I really look forward to answering any questions that you have about this product. It's a product that we're very proud of, and one that we hope that you would try. So with that, I'll share the slides again, and then I'll pass control over to Debbie. And give me 1 second to do that. And Debbie, you should now have control over the slides. Put myself onto mute.
Thank you, Paul. Right. So let's look at some product elements, starting with the key features of Campus. Campus courses cover essential key aspects on publishing research, from ethical research to getting published work noticed. We all know researchers have only limited time, which is why we cut out the noise and honed content down to what they really need to focus on. As Paul just showed, short videos, slides, exercises, and quizzes keep students going right to the end. On top of that, there are the 4 webinars per calendar year, providing a great opportunity to join live sessions with Karger and dive into questions. It's a bit of a jungle out there, as we heard, so good to be able to offer your stakeholders education from a trusted resource. You can rely on Karger with many years' experience, knowledge, and expertise in publishing scientific research. All courses are in English with translations of video scripts, exercises, quizzes, and the summary sheets available in Japanese, Korean, Portuguese, Spanish, and simplified Chinese. You might very well ask what the key benefits of having Campus are. In simple terms, it increases potential impact of your published research and saves you time. It increases potential impact by teaching researchers, among other things, how to conduct ethically sound research, the best way to structure and write a clear and interesting research paper, and how to avoid rejection. and it saves time by ensuring papers are right first time, meaning they can focus on their research. The benefits can be felt right across the organization, whether you are in a leadership role at your organization, running your own department or faculty, involved in research management, or an active researcher. And this can be provided to users throughout your organization through a single purchase. We offer Campus under two models, a capped seat model and an unlimited seat model. There are two differences between these models, the obvious one being the number of users. So the capped seat model allows up to 500 users, while the unlimited seat model has no restriction to number of users. The other difference is that the capped seat model allows only coupon code access, while there is a choice of either coupon code or email domain access with the unlimited seat license. The differences are reflected in the price, with $5,800 for the capped and $7,000 for the unlimited seat model. We do have a special offer for unlimited seat model at the price of capped seat model until the end of this year. So make sure to contact us in time to benefit from this. We provide institutions with our communication package for Campus. It is designed to support our customers and help ensure users at their institution take full advantage of campus learning opportunities. The pack contains a selection of materials to help promote Campus, raise awareness, and make it easily discoverable. It's one thing hearing about a new product, but much better, of course, to test it yourself. We are very happy to set up a 1-month trial for you to test Campus and make an informed decision. Please reach out to us via campus@karger.com or your regional Karger sales contact if you wish to test Campus or have any questions. With that, I'll hand over to Chris for the Q&A session.
That's great. Thanks, Debbie. Thanks, Paul. That was good to hear a good run through of the different aspects. We've had 3 questions here that I'll ask you now, and any others that come in we can pick up during the rest of the session. The first question, I think probably quite a straightforward one. Is this only relevant for authors submitting to Karger?
Shall I take that one, Chris?
Sure.
No, not at all. It's a great question, and it's one we should have, I probably should have emphasized. We don't even use only materials from Karger. So, for example, with the peer review courses, some journals have online open peer review that we could actually use those comments. So we actually use material from non-Karger publishers. We've actually included a fair variety of examples across the board. We're very aware that Karger publishes about 6,000 articles a year in PubMed, but about 1 million a year, I think, are accepted. So it would make no sense at all to do that. This is relevant and reflects my experience submitting to many publishers. And we also discuss a lot of different types of publisher and journal as well. So whether you go to a traditional publisher or to an open access journal, some of the requirements with some of the much more recent journals, which require preprint submission and require that the data are made freely available in an open resource. So we discuss really every type of publisher that the student may encounter.
Okay, great, thanks. Second question we've had, I think this relates to the points around it being focused. Can you give a sense of the time commitment students would need to make to complete the entire course, and perhaps a sense of how it compares to similar kind of products that might be out there from a time perspective?
Sure. We obviously we've trialed it with real students, and we find an average of about 2 hours per course to complete. Now, there's a big plus minus, because some students love to do the additional exercises and work through them in a lot of detail. Other students just go straight to the question. So if they know the answers, then they pass and proceed. So I would say anywhere between 1 to 3 hours per course, depending upon how thorough the student is. So with 10 courses, we're looking at an average of 20 hours, but a lot of early career researchers won't use the reviewing courses. So then we're looking at about 16 hours for an early career researcher, I would say, to complete Campus. In terms of comparing that to other courses, there are some that offer, some platforms that would be in direct competition that offer maybe like 100 courses. Then the courses vary from 1 to 8 hours, so it's very hard to come up with an average. And that was part of the confusion that I was talking about. There are others that offer 200 hours of e-learning with high quality levels, but with a very high price tag. And there, I think we just wanted to be realistic and say how many students will be able to do 200 hours of e-learning. That's really for universities that want to really almost replace their curricula with that material. If you roll out 200 hours, that's really a big chunk of student time that should be on site. So sometimes it's a bit comparing apples with pears, but short answer, 16 hours, I would say.
Brilliant. Okay, and the third question, the last one that we've got here, question is, how does the content stay relevant? I think this is, over time, and how much of it is content which is applicable, in perpetuity.
It's a really good question, and it's something that was very much on our minds. How long could we make the courses relevant for? I would say we would need to revise and do an update in about 2 years. The reason, and that's quite long, but the reason for that is with all of these courses, we've tried not to be prescriptive, but to show students where to get the latest information. So instead of saying, for example, you write a report in this structure, what we say is you write a report according to the latest reporting guidelines. Here's where you find the latest reporting guidelines. Here's how you find them for your field. And at the moment, what they say is this. And for things like social media, which changes incredibly quickly, again, we've done the same approach. We've asked students not to start a Twitter account or start a LinkedIn account. We've asked them to really define what they need from social media, what would qualify for success for them. For example, some think about after the paper's gone out, how do I promote this? And they haven't got any network in place to promote it with. So we talk a lot about getting a network in place, and a lot about how the advantages of a network can be to find research collaborators or to get peers to review and help. So we talk about developing a strategy and empowering them to deal with any changes in the landscape. And because of that approach, I think these won't go out of date very quickly at all. And they'll require some updates, of course, but relatively minor. What we may do, of course, is go deeper rather than wider into the detail, but we also want to keep asking students to do 16 hours for this is very doable, it's very manageable. And if you suddenly create a lot of content, it creates a psychological barrier to students engaging with it. So we don't want to lose that either. So we're not just going to throw information for the sake of updates.
Okay, great. That's good to hear. I think we all struggle in these days with time, and so I think having a focused approach with these things is a benefit to everyone. So, well, that's all the questions we have, actually. So let me just wrap up by saying, first of all, thanks for everyone attending today. Obviously, you have all of the details here. If you're interested and want to hear more, please get in touch with us. I'll say a thank you to Paul and Debbie also for talking us through the session today, and we look forward to speaking to you all in the future.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay.